Hola, don José, ¿cómo está? Estoy esperando por el artista se viene en la República Dominicana ahora. Yeah, to mute, so therefore there won't be any copyright infringement because where I live at, there was a lot of people blasting a lot of music, so I do not want to get a copyright strike because of that. Pero mi gente hablando español, yo quita mi micrófono, pero tiene una gran bulla de música. Y aquí en Estados Unidos te van a cortar su canal o se manda una restricción a su canal para poner música sin autorización o sin derecho. Yo pienso por el stream de Radical Latino es bien para hablar por la situación, pero el tipo de FBA él es muy ignorante. Y yo voy a explicar la historia de los hispanos y entre los hispanos y afroamericanos. Y ese tipo de ignorante no quiere saber o aprender la historia. Y yo no sé, vas a hacer discusiones por gente así, son ignorantes. Hey, Keisha. I'm just waiting for my guests to show up, so you know how it is.
Me dejaron solo en este proceso. Amigo, ¿dónde están? Amigo, ¿dónde están? No lo veo. Ya no hay amigos, no. Amigo, no. Amigo, ¿dónde están? Amigo, ¿dónde están? No lo veo. Ya no hay amigos, ya no hay amigos, no. A veces me siento solo y me da. Dan ganas de cambiar una vaina en el punto del oro, como dice HC, por eso ando bichicolo. Y antes yo andaba con mi coro, y por esta en silla de ruedas ya mi coro no me busca tanto que lo buscaba. Cuando se amaba una checha era yo que cocinaba, y yo nunca fui lambón, yo siempre en algo aportaba. Alguien que me conteste esta pregunta, ¿y por qué que tus amigos me salieron doble cara? La lealtad se demuestra con el corazón, no de boca. Amigos, ¿dónde están? Que no lo veo. Esto que estoy pasando yo no lo creo. Jangueábamos juntos y ya no lo veo. Me dejaron solo en este proceso. Amigo, ¿dónde están? Amigo, ¿dónde están? No lo veo. Ya no hay amigos, no. Ya no hay amigos, no. Amigo, ¿dónde están? Amigo, ¿dónde están? No lo veo. Ya no hay amigos, no. Ya no hay amigos, no. Aunque tú me veas así, yo soy feliz. Aunque esté en silla de ruedas, no tengo tiempo para sufrir. Tengo que seguir, tengo sueño y meta que cumplir. Amén. Y gracias le doy a Dios por mi madre, la familia que tengo, a esos amigos puros, aunque se encuentre lejos, y a mi hijo, que se sienta orgulloso que su padre es un guerrero. Que se sienta orgulloso que su padre es un guerrero, Amigos, ¿dónde están? Que no lo veo. Esto que estoy pasando yo no lo creo. Jangueábamos juntos y ya no lo veo. Me dejaron solo en este proceso. Amigo, ¿dónde están? Amigo, ¿dónde están? No lo veo. Ya no hay amigos, no. Ya no hay amigos, no. ¿Dónde están? Amigo, ¿dónde están? Amigo, ¿dónde están? No lo veo. Ya no hay amigos, no. Ya no hay amigos, no. ¿Dónde están? Buda Roble. Yeah. Sabiduría, entendimiento, lealtad. Amarili, no me apague la vela, que las bendiciones están llegando, la gloria de Dios. De Yahoo Product, la compañía. Belki, la mamá mía. Rainelvi, pórtate bien. La Rose 01, Robert. Leslie, tráeme para el toro, que no se puede quedar.
Hey, Don Jose, how you doing?
Good evening, Don Armando. How are you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm all right. It's like I'm still waiting for my artist, so I'm trying to see
Okay.
how it's happening and everything. How's everything with you?
Oh, fine. I mean, I'm happy that now I have my own community tab.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I have one. So I guess I might have to go to the studio, right? So
Yeah.
YT Studio.
Yeah. So it'll make it easier for me to announce my future streams with my community tab. Um, but it was an interesting stream that Radical had today. But that person, he was a complete idiot.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I went up and I cursed. I told him like, "Yo, ghost shape." Like, yo, I just lost it with him when I went up and I tried to explain history. He's like, "Oh, I don't want to hear history." I was like, "Man, you know what? Shut the up." I said that on the back channel. I'm like, "Yo, somebody needs to need to slap your beard off or something like that."
Well, come on. What is the shocking thing is that he had a father figure who was Latino.
To me, is like that guy is how should I say? That's like me, right? And I'm gonna go to and I'm trying to tell people, oh, that Dominicans are racist. Okay, I know this, all right, but I'm not gonna go out my way to go and dis to go and try to diss my own people because at the end of the day, it's it's actually disingenuous, and you could tell that this guy he was talking like both sides of his mouth. So my thing is that he says that his mother and his stepfather they separated 15 years, right? So there was like I
Yeah.
still talk to him, but yeah, he still want to try to go in saying I did this. So I asked him, "You got a passport?" If he does, that's it. But apparently, I could tell you from talking to this guy that this guy doesn't have a passport, and if he did, he will not be talking that FBA nonsense that Tariq Nadweeb will. So my thing is this: I'm a Dominican American,
Hmm.
and my own background differs from a lot of Dominican Americans or first generation born Dominicans in the United States. So when I talk about my life and how certain people acted and everything, all of a sudden I'm a liar or whatever. But this is the thing: when I was growing up down south,
Hmm.
from the age of 5 to the age of 12, that's when I lived down south, right?
Yeah.
So when I lived there, went to school there, whatever, with my aunt and my older brother, right?
Hmm.
The way the way that FBA was not even, how should I say, or ADOS was not even a word when I grew up down south. I'm telling you the truth. It was
Okay.
African American, and then the way that I saw people down south, people who actually tend their lawns and everything like that. I saw people who were actually very respected in the African American community. They actually held their jobs. They actually owned land. They actually, how shall I say? They actually drove around and they made their life. You go what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So when people are calling themselves ADOS or FBA and stuff like that, you have to go look in the 1990s. Nobody was these terms didn't even exist. And second
Hmm.
of all, some of these people who claim ADOS or FBA, I could tell you two things. Half of these people are just internet trolls, and the other ones are just sad to say, incels. Because think about it. If
Yeah.
if you talking if you're trying to debate something, right? And you could tell that that person has no outer experience, and then you want to go and try to push his point, and he says, "Oh, this and that, the third, we're this, we're that." I can tell you right now that this guy has never been to a professional room whatsoever, and most certainly it's just it's just crazy on how he wants to say stuff and try to put his point. But he says he don't want to listen to history or the history or whatever. But yet you're making a point about Latino racism and how he did that. Apparently, he did not read his history.
Mhm.
So I just wonder if I shut him down right there.
Well, the fact of the matter is, he talks a lot of garbage. Okay. So basically, what he starts doing, he starts recycling the same garbage that Tariq Nasheed has been spouting. Okay. And the thing I find amazing, okay, there were four Latinos in the panel. And obviously, he knows nothing about us four. Okay. But all of a sudden, he knows enough about us to say that we're racist. And that's the crazy part.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm just listening to an interview up on YouTube. Not YouTube, I mean Instagram. Yeah. So apparently you have to deal with a whole bunch of ignorant people that all right. You know how I view Tariq Nasheed and everything like that? And
Wow.
people like that dumb idiot. All right.
Hmm.
You know whenever you walk 125th Street, right? You
Yes.
have you have two sections of people. You have the people that they sell books about black history or whatever the case may be. And they're very respectful about it. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But then you have the guys that will talk about that they have the books which is far out there and they want you to read or whatever and they hit you with, yeah, you're my brother and we have to with the movement and stuff. Okay,
Hmm.
first of all, I'm Afro Dominican.
Yeah.
So technically I went up and I did my research on these movements. These are the movements that actually are breaking up communities. You don't see none of these movements are there to unite for whatsoever. Second of all, if somebody say, "Oh, put your chakras," I'm like, "Okay, this is bull." I'll be like, "Okay, this is bull crap." Because first of all,
Hmm.
chakras, I guess, is supposed to be for for the Indic or how should I say, dharmic religions. And the last time I checked, I'm a Christian, so therefore I'm not gonna try to as far as my faith and everything, I'm not going that route. I'm sorry. And then you have certain people with the new age spiritualism and stuff, and then they wanna hum and everything like that. I'm like and saying, "Oh, our ancestors did it." Okay, but technically, back in the 1970s and 80s, how people I talk to in my family and older siblings and older cousins and everything, it was not actually that much respected in New York, let alone now. So all I see as Tariq Nasheed is like the elevated version of the guy that is trying to tell you his own history. When the fact is, half of these people don't have a passport, and half of these people never really been to Egypt. You get my point?
Yeah. But the fact of the matter is this: you have people where their brain is in neutral
Right.
and their mouth is in first gear. What I mean is they speak without thinking about what they're saying. And
Right.
we saw a perfect example of that today.
Yeah.
And all I said, and again, I said is the following, okay? Which is, yes, there is racism in the Latino community, but for the most part, we put a check on these people. And before you open your big mouth and comment regarding what radical Latino or Denise say, actually listen to it and do your own research and then comment.
Yeah. It looks like that. How should I say? I guess there's another stream about the radical Latino, but I'm not gonna really listen to it because
Yeah, yeah. Fighter's doing his.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. The thing is though, I'm like I was gonna fighter. That's my dude and everything like that. But there's certain people I just don't really agree with in his channel. Much respect to fighter because like his family and my family, we're actually linked. You know what I'm saying? Meaning that
mhm,
his cousin who is Amadi Song knows my cousins, etc. Because me and Fighter's families are from literally the same place in the Dominican Republic.
mhm.
So that's why I'm like, I have my respect for Fighter. What he's doing and stuff because his family came from where my family come from. You know what I mean? So and I guess Fighter forgot that yeah, I had to cut the mic off because you know people and their loud music out here. I guess I have to
Yeah,
like soundproof or something like that because you know
yeah. You see, I have respect for Fighter as well. It's just that let's say he's his own personality and just leave it like that. But I mean,
exactly that's
it's
all
not,
that's all I gotta say. But
yeah.
the thing is though, there's certain
Mhm,
people like who's right there that I don't really have respect for. Like for example, you have some idiot that's telling me right, and this is not Queen the Last. There's another guy by the name of Jay Jimenez, right? I was on Fighter's channel just to try to show him love, right? Now,
mhm,
what what this guy is gonna go tell me is that I don't like you're not Dominican. I don't like you flying my flag. Okay, so what the heck you gonna do with it? Nothing. You get what I'm trying to say?
yeah.
It's like you like this. This is my thing with certain people. You're rather a white supremacist, fly your flag with the Nazi symbol where that scooter is supposed to be, but you have a problem with me flying my flag. I say I am who I am. You trying to say I'm a liar. So it's not no recourse to fuss with people like that because at the end of the day, everybody knows that I'm real, but yet they just want to push the narrative because their narrative is hey, let's kiss the behind of nobody, and the nobody I'm speaking of is Andy Batista. So with that note, and people and the trolls and everything, I've heard Blood Moon talk, but half these other people, I'm like, all right, y'all just trolls.
Mhm.
I mean, think about it. we work.
Yeah.
I work with people, right? And I'm a working man.
Mm-hmm.
So why would I? And this is what I'm just saying. Why would I spend like 2 or 3 hours to prove my point down with Dominican when the fact is I know where I come from. So, and I'm not going to go show people my personal life. I'm not going to go and tell, hey, or show the documents, the entry documents that my parents came to the Dominican Republic for what? For a bunch of people that are going to deny it anyway and then try to gaslight what I'm saying. So, what's the point of trying to prove anything? I wear my flag, people talk about it. Oh, I'm not Dominican. Okay, so do you have the receipts? No, you don't. You want to come to my page? You're not going to do that. You want to go and call people monkey. You want to go and worship the Europeans. That's your life. I get it. But don't go and try to tell another person that they're not this when the fact is you don't do your research. There's a lot of people who don't look Dominican who are Dominican. I'm talking about Asians, people of Arab descent,
Mm-hmm.
people with only European descent. So my thing is, who who went up and made some of these people Dominican experts? And my thing, and this is why I'm saying this, because I I'm not gonna go put my whole real name on social media just so I could get doxxed by some of these idiots. Because that's what some of these trolls and idiots do. As soon as they find your real name, like, and they don't agree with something, they'll try to dox you and harass you and everything like that. So that's why I use a name, Don Armando. And just for anybody who's actually listening, Armando is my middle name, but I'm not gonna go say my first name. And my last name is Roblox. That's it. So,
Mm-hmm.
with that said, why should I, as a man who is actually secure on who he is and everything like that, why should I go and prove my point to a bunch of people who are gonna who are gonna turn my words and try to use it against me anyways? When and I'll give you an example. When I was on Fighters on page, right? Fighters on channel, right? I went up there's no lies that I have to say. I say that Dominican. Both of my parents were born in the Dominican Republic, but on my mother's side, her her family came from the West Indies. So I showed a picture of my father and everything. A certain
Mm-hmm.
idiot who I'm not on it, the certain idiot, Queen the Last, was trying to go and push the point of my mother's ancestry. But yet, when I went up and I showed the picture of my father, he couldn't say nothing. But yet, he went up and tried to gaslight and try to manipulate people to say, oh, just because my mother was born in DR and her parents were from St. Kitts, or in Spanish, San Cristobal y Nieves, in his mind, he was trying to call me an infiltrator when the fact is, he does not know the history of Eugenio Consuelo San Pedro de Macorís, but is now called Municipio Consuelo. He does not know the contributions that Los Ingles went up and made to the Dominican society when they assimilated. And also, if my last name is Robles and I'm being honest on who I am, why you're just focusing on what my mother was when the fact is, when you see a picture of me and my father, you say nothing. But yet you want to try to gaslight to the whole world oh yeah, he's not one of us. And then you want to call certain people infiltrators just because he has a certain prejudice against African Americans in this country. And the reason, and this is why I say this. If you actually look on TikTok, right?
Yes.
He actually, when there's certain people that they talk about, you know, Dominican Republic without knowledge or something like that, and then in TikTok, it's a whole other world where people just actually warring and cannot really not so much warring, but it's like people make videos, you comment, they want to curse you out and etc. I'm like, I've been there, done that, and my full intent was not to be a race talker or anything like that. It's just to have fun. So when you see certain people so I went up and I talked to a woman who is a TikToker, and she actually talks about Dominican history with respect. And her name is Mayan Rivera. When I went up and went up and mentioned Queen Emperor the Last, they're talking about I went up and we were talking about the thing of the Cocolos in the Dominican Republic. So when I went up and I mentioned to Mayan Rivera about the stuff that Queen had said, she was like, "Yo, this guy is ultra." She just went up and just had a face of disgust when I mentioned his name. Queen the Last. So, with that said, it's like at the point people want to make memberships and everything like that, but guess what? Some of these people could scream patriotism, but then they want to go. They want to go and talk about how they're so much of a patriot. Okay, this is my thing. If you're so much of a patriot, right?
Yes.
And to me, you want to go call other Dominicans or people of Dominican descent just because their views don't align with yours, vende patrias or whatever the case may be. Let's see how much of a, and you say that you so supposedly love Dominican Republic. Why the heck you're going against your own people? Number one. Number two, your whole profile say that you're Cibaeño. Okay. My wife's family are Cibaeño. So when you actually talk ignorance against other people, you're making most Cibaeños look bad. Number three, if there was a war right now that was to happen in Dominican Republic, would you go in the front lines? Or you're just going to go around and talk your crap on the internet? We all know the answer to that. And to cultural politics. Yes, Dominican Republic is the West Indies or the Caribbean, right? So so to me, if a guy's saying, "Oh, he has a card and everything like that," so how come people in his neighborhood don't know him? I have like a lot of friends in Washington Heights and a lot of enemies, right?
Yeah.
How come nobody knows him? If he's so much of a big figure in the Washington Heights community, why the heck he doesn't have like his own carosa in the Dominican parade? These are questions that you have to actually ask yourself. And every time I mention his name, and I mentioned his name just once on Clubhouse, I've heard my fellow Dominicans call him stupid. Or in cultural politics, this is one thing I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I am a Protestant. I was going to turn Catholic, but I didn't. So, as far as the community, as the Christian community, Catholics included, right? If he talking about how he's a Catholic and everything like that, the Catholics that I know in my family, right? Those are my aunts, my my two uncles that are no, actually my two uncles that are still living because my other uncle he's a Christian of the Protestant denomination, and my wife's family they're from Bonao, but they're Christian. So I identify with the Christian religion also, or the Christian faith. My thing is this: as a person of the Christian faith, if you have a disagreement with somebody, you go and you talk about them about that difference in a good light. And this is where I have a beef with Queen Ember the Last. If you're so much of a if you're so much of a Christian, um, Queen Embra, why the heck? Whenever somebody has a bad thing about you, you want to go and mention their spouse on what you're gonna do with them. In my case, real Christians don't act like that. Real Catholics don't act like that. So why the heck he wants to propagate that he's so much of a faithful man, but yet every time you have a disagreement, you actually spew out racist stuff, and then on top of it, you actually go around and tell other people that you're going to sleep with their wives, and you want to talk about how other people are degenerates, but yet you do degenerate actions. It doesn't make sense. Really? So tell me more, Hebrew Line. You're welcome to actually come through too. I'll put down a
Oh,
link.
okay. Thank you. But I find it amazing, and all this simply to say, "I got you." denying who you are, questioning your identity, spending large amount of time uh, and for what? To say, I got you? I proved my point? But we have to be mindful that a lot of these so-called people,
Or it
I
is.
mean, don't have anything going
We're,
on
we're,
in their life.
yeah.
Yeah. So you need to
But
consider. You need to, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, so what you doing for Thanksgiving? Because I might be in the city around that time.
I don't know. I might be visiting one of my siblings. I don't know. I won't actually. I won't know probably till like maybe 2 weeks beforehand. Um, of course, the holidays is not always. It's never easy when when loved ones passed away. But
Yeah,
but but that's something that's a reality. So, but Fighter has has been in conflict with Radical Latino for a long time.
oh yeah, I know.
Hmm.
Yeah, because of I guess of certain stuff. I guess that they were saying or whatsoever the case may be. So I guess that beef predates of when I actually started being on YouTube, active on Radical and whatsoever channel, because what happened was it was like maybe I'll tell you how I actually got into the sphere. How I actually got into the sphere is because I'm looking at a video about the late great Johnny Ventura. He
Hmm.
was an artist that I actually respected and looked up to as a kid and even as a grown man. And when he had passed, it was like one of the people that I actually looked up to passed away because he was just a staple to whatever to the cultural identity of the Dominican Republic. As and to another merenguero I could actually say, Jose Tomateo.
Hmm.
So when Johnny Ventura passed, you know, he was a man that was very respected. So I happened to just look on the internet or whatsoever, and this man is actually disrespecting the memory of Johnny Ventura and a whole bunch of his detractors on the video was calling Johnny Ventura Haitian and all this other stuff. Now, remind you, my parents grew up in the 1940s under the Trujillo rule. So, if I'm gonna go and tell people that this person is this and that, and they have no proof of it, and they just want to try to push their point of how racist they are, and me and Andy Batista, we were having a discussion, and he was just saying like, "Hey, you're the descendant of slaves or whatever." Okay, but you are too. Ain't no way if you was to actually go to Spain, they'll accept you. Let's be honest. And to
Yeah.
cultural politics 2.0, I don't do the genealogy test because what a lot of people don't know about the genealogy test. Let's say you go do your genealogy, and then you see who you are and everything. 9 times out of 10, when you actually sign the legal proceedings and stuff like that, the cops they actually use your DNA just and they have it on file. So so either they send it to various agencies in the United States or around the world, your DNA profile. So God forbid if any relative of you went up and did a crime and let's just say leave evidence, the last time they do, they're just gonna go and see who you are, your real genetic makeup, how this person is related to you, and that's how they catch suspects now. So if I'm gonna go do a DNA test, I'm not gonna go and to a company that I know that sells my DNA information to law enforcement. There's no company that actually says, "Oh yeah, we give your DNA back to you." So that's the reason I'm not doing it. If it was for anything else, well, yeah, I'm down for it. I want to find out who I am and who I'm related to. But until
Mhm.
then, all I have is documents.
Yeah. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is this, and again, I mean, people love to talk about what they don't know. Now lately, now lately, I've not been, participating in radical streams because I'm going to be perfectly honest. A lot of the stuff that they talk, I really don't have a knowledge of. So instead of taking up space and saying whatever, what I rather do is just watch and listen, and maybe I can learn something. Okay, that's what separates us from the mentally and intellectually challenged, or the
Right.
mix, as I like to call
Hmm.
it. And
Yeah, yeah. I like how you actually styled that.
well, it's true. Whether you be a Hispano tap, whether you be a slow tap, whether you be a diversity tap or a states tap, they all have this more or less similar characteristics. And obviously, this fool was a Mick. So, and the fact of the matter is, Tariq Rashid um, has a sibling that married a Latina or what have you. Um, is a perfect example of do what I say, not what I do.
Exactly. And to me, it's like at the end of the day, let's be real. Half of these so-called talkers don't stand on anything. We're talking about all these raced talkers or separators or whatever the case may be. Let's be honest. And
Mm.
if you actually look at certain stuff, you could actually see the miseducation of certain people. Let's say, for
Mhm.
example,
Yeah.
you could have an educated person, a person that actually has that has their college degree, that have associate's degree, whatsoever the case may be.
Hmm.
So they have like a preconceived notion of all people. So if you have a preconceived notion of all people, but yet you meet one that breaks your pattern of preconceived notions of people,
Hmm.
I mean, at the end of the day, you'll you'll have to treat that person with the utmost respect. My mom always told me it's not about race or anything like that. If that person treats you right, you treat them right.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, also one thing which there's a lot of stuff that when I actually make this joint, this segment, which I
Mhm.
try to make on Friday, it's called Historias Urbanas for a reason.
Yeah.
It is it is because I see certain stuff which is not right in the Dominican community. And me being the son of two Dominican immigrants, I'm
Hmm.
I'm trying to make I'm trying to at least talk to artists. So there, because I see a same pattern with urban artists in New York and sometimes in the Dominican Republic. The reason why I
Hmm.
talk about because I'm not because I know certain people within these two street organizations, which I'm not going to name, out of respect.
Correct.
So when you see certain and this street war has been going on since I'll say certain people have said that it's been going on since 2001, but other people have said that it's been going on since '03 when a certain person got killed. So ever since then, you see certain people who are still cool, but then you've seen a lot of young men actually losing their lives to street violence. And to me, it's crazy on why we as a people we just can't go and sit on the table and say, okay, let's have let's talk, let's make let's make everything all right. So therefore, certain people or certain things want to happen, and then on top of it, everybody could live their lives, work hard, and feed their families. You have certain, but then you have certain people that are actually poisoning the minds of the youth or whatever to say what the reason why they're fighting each other or whatever is oh yeah, it's for my country or whatever. Okay, you're doing this for your country. You're doing this for the respect of your people and stuff. In the and back in those days, I'm talking about the days when my parents came to this country. There was no gangs. There was people who actually came from the Dominican Republic. We helped each other. It was all about a community. And if you were to go to a Dominican hood, or you would say, okay, we're Dominican, we actually helped each other. Now, you can now in this modern day age, you could go to a party, chill or whatever. The next thing you know, a fight breaks out, whatever the case may be. But when that happens, certain people will try to talk about unity, but it's not there anymore. And that's just my view about it. So this whole thing that I have is to try to at least tell the youth and learn from artists in Dominican Republic and in the United States to try to actually give a voice to the youth to say we don't have to go the same route that we've went. Because I'm sick of seeing my people deported. I am sick of seeing my people dying needlessly over gang violence. When the fact is, most Dominicans come to the United States to work and provide for their families and be honest. But a lot of these people don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about how they're bigger than you and everything like that. Okay, But guess what? You want to try to talk about everything of the narrative, but then when we actually talk about our own problems, nobody nobody wants to say anything. Please. Let me guess. The strict guidelines is that I don't have to support African African Americans and everything like that. Okay, culture politics. This is one thing I want to say. How, how did you, as how are you as a Dominican, right? Why in your mind you appoint Queen as your representative? I just want to know this because at the end of the day, and and the thing is though, he's Dominican though. Okay, and there's a whole bunch of Dominicans. Trujillo was Dominican, right? Was Dominican, right? By all accounts. Queen Isabella of Castile. Okay. But wasn't the Spaniards actually after Aragon, wasn't they ruled by the Habsburgs? You know, the Habsburg jaw? Yeah. Other than that, hmm. I got a question for you, Don Jose. You there? Hmm.
Oh, I apologize. It's just that I have neighbors that tend to talk while outside.
Trust me, I understand. That's Parkchester.
Yeah, yeah. So, and one advantage of living 10 um, floors above, at least you don't have to worry about any of that music getting onto your stream. So it seems like a lot of people are doing streams tonight. I mean,
I mean, yeah, but I was just actually trying to do the stream away from that. So
I hear you. Yeah, that could be a problem when you trying to stretch your stream. Next thing you know, you have like about 4 or 5, or maybe 6 different creators having their stream more or less around the same time.
yeah,
So,
yeah, man. Because it is what it is. But hey, I guess that whenever I get better at this, I guess I'll hit a different demographic. So
hmm.
I'll just keep doing this until I get better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess your guest that you were trying to reach
I
is
I,
not
I
going
don't
to
know.
appear.
I guess not because certain things. I guess with the connections and everything like that. I was we were talking about it earlier, but I don't know if he has connection in his hood and such. The same thing with an artist that I was trying to interview last week. But then the thing is though he was in the back channel, but every time he was trying to put like his video and everything like that, his connection was slow.
Hmm.
So me personally, I'll have to see what's up with that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that could be a problem if you're like in, you know, whether it be in the mountains or whether it be in a region where the
where
Wi-Fi is
it's not
very
strong enough.
weak.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, it's
So
understandable.
yeah.
So anyway, you know, it's funny because sometimes there's industries when you plan, and what happens is it's not widely viewed, and then you have some streams that when it's like there's a lot of traffic involved as far as people coming in and out. Now I do know Magic is doing a stream next Friday, um, regarding mixed people in the Latino community. So it should be very interesting. So Is there anything else that's on your mind?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was just talking to my wife. Um, trying to see because I had to talk to somebody in who's actually here in I guess New York or whatsoever. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
yeah.
I
So
see again. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I see again another subscriber tonight.
I wonder who.
Let me see. Someone named Big T. I don't know. Was he in Radical Stream today?
Yeah, he was actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed that after I left your last, your last stream, that Zacharias pop into your pop into your stream. What did he talk about?
Oh, we were just talking about a lot of stuff that was going on, and we're just giving like old internet history of trolls and everything, and we're actually talking about certain stuff that actually happened in the culture whatsoever. So as you know, Zacharias and Radical, they don't talk. But I went up and I asked Zacharias if I was to have Radical, and then you and him were to actually come to an agreement or actually sit down like men and talk, if you would be down for that. He was like, yeah. So it was Zacharias and it was what's his name? It was Ramon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I do know that at some point he also had beefs with Denise as well.
Yeah. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, but I guess their problems is just actually ideological, I guess.
Okay.
Because think
Well,
about
I
it.
don't want, I don't want to speak on Denise's behalf because she's not here, and
Yeah, I'm
she's
just
in a
saying from what I heard, I mean their problems whatsoever.
yeah.
They're ideological to say at best.
Yeah. It's just that, excuse me, I just don't like to talk about or speak for people who are not here because they're not here to correct, you know. And
Right.
nowadays, you do have to be mindful regarding what you say, on people's behalf.
Right.
Anyway, so what I'm gonna do, I'm done. I'm gonna hop off. As
It
always,
was it
it's
was nice having you.
thank you. Tomorrow I'm just going to be doing a short stream. Well, it's probably going to be a short stream because tomorrow is my mother's birthday. She would have been 89 years old.
Right.
Yeah, tomorrow. So I already posted it on my community tab. So now that I have a community tab, I can post whatever my upcoming streams and also I will send notifications to maybe as much as 15 people.
Got you.
So as always, it's a pleasure. So take care. Be safe.
All right. You
Yeah, take
too,
care.
Don Jose.
Okay. Bye. Thank you.
Bye. como que hay?
Tranquilo, brother.
Yo, did you have trouble trying to get into the stream?
Nah, porque es hoy or tomorrow Saturday.
Nah, cause I was. Oh, I mean, like, okay, I'll try to do a joint on Saturday if I'm not busy or anything like that. So
Right now?
yeah, cause I was on. Yeah, cause I was online right now and everything like that. So you know.
So how's it right now? Is it popping?
No, not really. It was just me and my friend. We was actually talking about something else. So I was trying to hit you up like all day and everything like that through Instagram.
Yeah, I ain't had no internet at the time. Let me hit you back, fam. Hang on. Let me hit you back.
All right.
I'll be hitting you back in a few minutes.
All right, Tato.
Tato.
How you doing, JoJo Squadron?
Good, Don. How are you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I'm just like, okay. Hey, first of all, just chillaxing and everything like that. How's everything with you up in Las Vegas?
It's going very well. I'm actually just here at the park, and I actually just have you on my Bluetooth here in my car. But I also wanted to, stop by in here, chill a little bit before I go off and do my sprint around the lake.
Gotcha. I was just talking to the artist right now, and I guess he said that he had no internet whatsoever, but I'm still trying to make it happen. So let's see what else. What you doing for Thanksgiving?
Oh, I don't know just yet. That's about a month from now on.
Yeah, that's my sound effects. Yo, nena, ven acá. Yeah. Yeah, so he was saying don't give him a few minutes, so I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, these are some interesting comments that I'm reading here. What's going on here with you not being considered what you are?
Mm. I'm not really paying mind to it. I'm just trying to at least get the try to see the main line and see how I can do as an interview, because at the same time it's actually my first time. So it was funny because when I was talking about when I was actually had the idea for this was I was talking to two Dominican artists that I'm actually friends with, right?
Hmm.
And when I actually talked about, okay, like we're just talking about stories that they lived and which I was with some way I was a part of, and those like, yo fam, you got to do a podcast. I mean, like we got mad stories that nobody knows.
Hmm.
So that was my initial thing of Historias Urbanas. So I was actually trying to get from a different demographic of people that actually are within the urban movement that I'm in. So
Hmm.
therefore, we could actually have stories that can that could actually enlighten people on making better business moves or better moves as artists anyway.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah. So what is your whole take on the Kanye situation?
So, since the Kanye controversy is not going to accelerate or grow my brand that you see that I've established on Instagram,
Right.
I've just stayed out of the shenanigans. So,
Hmm.
I've never listened that much to Kanye, nor have I ever been like gung ho for him, because
Right.
always throughout, I mean, honestly, throughout the past decade, he's done all these publicities for
Right.
money and more clout, such as him saying how slavery was a choice. I'm like, dude, no. But then again, he gets paid to even say like the most absurd things. So he may be right in terms of like a lot of like white Jewish guys who may have a lot of control and power and influence, but the way he went about with explaining it is something that crossed the line. Now, it's
Right.
totally fine to speak about like a tough topic or even a spicy topic too, since even the topic of like being mixed race or Creole or mulatto is already a very spicy topic in itself. There's other ways, more mature, more charitable, and more structured ways to go about with that, as opposed to just getting up there on the podium and just being flat out outlandish and vulgar about it. And as a result of him doing that,
Yeah. And it's like I don't know, but to me, I guess certain stuff was about to happen because if you actually look at at his recent interviews, I mean, way before I guess the Drink Champs
mhm,
or I guess some whatever other interview that he actually was was hinting in all like I guess in some of his earlier interviews this year that he was actually dissatisfied with some of these companies and the way that that he has to go to them in order for it to make his brand or whatsoever the case may be.
yes,
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I we're it's like what a lot of people don't actually see is that when it comes to certain 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 people within this country, you don't really see a lot of financial dynasties anymore except the old financial dynasties. But they're branched out in certain things that we may not just hear about them no more, but they still exist within this country.
Yes.
So it's like,
Or like in other words, like banking elites, financial and banking elites, or banking cartels as they call it.
right.
Yes.
So
Money talks.
it's like,
Money comes with all the power and control and influence, unfortunately.
Don't try to be unhappy.
yeah, that was my wife.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You know, there's actually something I can also add on to the Kanye controversy, because it does
Right.
remind me of something. So, of course, it's no attack on the Jewish community or even on the LGBT community at all, since I actually love my friends who fall under that umbrella.
Right.
But I've always noticed how if you do say something about those communities, especially about like the gay community, you definitely will get vilified far more than you would if you were to say something about me and my ethnic composition. So if you talk down on like the LGBT community, you will have like the lynch mob out onto you. You will have those who will try to cancel you. You will definitely, again, receive far more vilification.
I mean, just look at what happened to Isaiah Thomas. He got kicked off the whole show just for saying what he felt. So
Exactly. But then again, racial discrimination and prejudice, homophobia, that's a no-no in my book. That is not what my brand is about, and I want nothing to do with that stuff. Hence why after I saw Kanye doing his publicity stunt again, I'm like, well, that's not going to accelerate me or accelerate my brand. So I'm just going to push
Exactly.
Kanye to the side and just have him face the heat that he's going to face and have him deal with the consequences. But
oh yeah, another thing that I've actually put on my FB today, right?
tell me.
All right, and this pertains to, I guess, a lot of my coworkers or whatsoever the case may be. You know that there's hackers that I guess they cleaned out a lot of people's accounts and everything like that. I guess within the Philadelphia area or something like that. Because the next day I came into my place of employment, which I'm not going to say where I work at. I was talking to two of my colleagues. One of my colleagues got cleared out of his whole paycheck on Cash App. And then my friend's daughter lost $800 of her own hard-earned money in this Cash App hacking also. So when my friend went up and told me about this happening last night, I went up and I took all my financial information that I had on my Cash App and I deleted it, because nobody's is going to clean me out dry for money that I actually worked hard for.
Cash App is very shady, and it is definitely full of a lot of like the Bitcoin scammers or the cryptocurrency types of scammers. I do know that.
Yeah, I know, but the thing is, they actually hacked, I guess, within the infrastructure or whatsoever in Cash App, and it's to the point that it's not really secure. I guess it's not secure or never been, because I've actually read certain articles of certain people losing money through Cash App, and they're actually having a lawsuit right now because of it. I guess because of one of the happenings of Cash App and people getting their accounts stolen. And then sometimes the banks is not even helping the people after they get their accounts or money stolen, whatsoever the case may be. So with all these interfaces on how to pay and everything, do you think they're gonna try to hit all the other interfaces that people pay for now whatsoever? Or is it just strictly to Cash App? What's your thoughts about that?
It's not going to be strictly limited to Cash App. It's also going to even extend maybe to even PayPal and even to Venmo. Because if you really think about it, though, all those systems are all interconnected. So hackers can always find how interconnected they are, and they can just use that to their advantage. And they also know that no one will investigate it thoroughly. No one's going to really take to like recompensate the victims. Because if you really think about it, though, is that if they were to make that like a priority, then like the authorities would have to put like international terrorism on the same level of priority as like scammers do, or scammers, or whatever kind of shady activities they do. So which is going to come first, like a scamming like cartel ring?
Who knows?
Like, cause you know, like how like in India you have like a lot of the IRS scammers and everything, and everybody who calls you saying that, hey, you owe this amount to the IRS, or you have like fraud on your Social Security.
Now,
authorities won't put that on the same level of priority as international terrorism. And so if they were to recompensate victims or investigate it more, then they have to put it on the same level of priority. The scammers know that, and that's why they take advantage.
Yeah, it's funny because I've ran into these scammers for like maybe 4 years or whatsoever the case may be, and they always tell me, "Oh yeah, we're gonna send cops for you." So I went up and I dudes, we're gonna arrest you and everything like that. So I went up and I talked to a person that I did taxes with like once before when I lived in New York. So when I actually talked to that person in New York, they were telling me that if anybody comes and tell you just because you have certain things within your tax or whatsoever that they're gonna send the cops, 9 times out of 10 they're lying, because they're not gonna do that if it's just something. The IRS will just take your money. So
exactly. IRS is also not going to call you and say that they have a sheriff coming to your door. They're always going to send you letters.
Exactly.
No guy with a foreign accent who claims to be an officer is going to say that they're sending the sheriff to your door or your apprehension. I'm like, I would say, well.
And it's funny. And it's funny because it's like, okay, I was actually asking about some of these people. Whenever they actually talk and such, they actually have like accent reduction classes for their English accent or whatsoever the case may be. And it's very interesting on how certain people could actually try to sound like a North American or Canadian, but then some of it, their accent is just way off. Like, for example, here we use elevators, right? Why the heck are you talking about a lift? or better yet, the ones I could actually say that could almost sound American will be the Filipinos, the ones that actually speak English. It could sound a little bit close to American, if anything.
Yeah. But then also those international scammers will hire American or Canadian scammers to also be used for.
Yeah.
You do have like the American mules who will go around
Hmm.
and mail you fake checks, even though those fake checks were made by Nigerian like scamming cartels.
Yeah. It's funny because I've seen so many 419 scams, and to me, for some reason, it's just how should I say? Um, you know, pitiful. The 419 scams was like the worst. But then when I started hearing about it, like around 2008, it, you got to understand, not there's not like enough really that much existing monarchies in West Africa. The only
Mhm.
monarchies are like maybe the Kingdom of Morocco,
Mhm.
Soweto, or I guess they go by their new name, Eswatini, and those are like the two monarchies I could actually think of. I mean, there might be more, but you know, I don't really see a lot of royal heads of states in present day Africa.
I
I'm just
don't
gonna be
either.
honest. Yeah, and the two heads of states, the three, I guess, would be kingdoms or anything like that for that matter. In Asia would be it would be Japan. It'll be Thailand, which is a constitutional monarchy, and more or less Cambodia and Malaysia, if I'm not mistaken.
Malaysia, it is a. I don't know exactly what it falls under though. I do know that they are a Muslim country, but I don't
Right.
think they're.
Yeah, because what happened is I guess they have like a sultan that they're elected like every 3 or 4 years or so, whatever the case may be. So I guess that is their head of state, just like the Emirates in what we call the Middle East.
Yes, but a lot of those scamming cartel rings are not going to go away anytime soon because they're just not on the same level of priority as terrorists are. But until like more money goes into programs and projects to put it on the same level of international terror,
Yeah,
um, basically these scamming cartel rings taken down. But they're not going to anytime soon.
yeah,
It may never be taken down, or it'll be taken down maybe within like 10 years or so. But for right now, expect to be threatened by a sheriff coming up to your door because you didn't pay your taxes in 5 years.
yeah, pretty much. Hmm.
I never asked that, Don. Do you have kids?
No, I don't at this moment, but let's just say I'm in work for that.
Say it again.
Let's just say
For
I'm
that.
working on that. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
It's like I see most of my friends they actually have their children or they get married for the first time or whatever the case may be. So it's actually good. But then you have certain people that have their own problems, and they're just you know, doing childish things while other people have to pay for it. So I guess I'm in a space that I choose peace.
Yeah, because like I have a friend though, and her husband. They just they're now starting to expect their first child. She wasn't really sure though whether it'll work out though, but it looks like it did. She said she wasn't sure about whether her body could handle the pregnancy, but apparently it looks like it worked.
Yep. I mean, not for nothing. I guess like in one of these days, maybe Sunday if I'm not, if like or Thursday or whatever the case may be, I would like to make a stream dedicated to the golden sphere because I want to actually talk to people within the movement or whatsoever the case may be. Because even though that I guess I'm mixed historically, whatever the case may be, I would like to see how other people who identify as mixed or have or identify with two heritages from different continents or whatever the case may be. I'd like to
Yeah.
see like what is your triumphs and what your struggles or what intellectual blockage that y'all go through as a movement.
Mhm.
So that's
Sounds
what
like sounds like a good plan
yeah.
there.
I mean, yeah, because it's like I'm still trying to learn how to use Discord or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
But one thing I guess in the space that I am with Mulato's space or whatsoever, I could
Yes.
actually say that between the people that I've talked to and so forth, I've actually seen like a lot of respect within your community.
Yeah, exactly. Though I mean, and even like me and Magic are very like close allies, or close friends, or close colleagues, or close partners, so to speak.
Hmm.
And we definitely have our own brand going on. Except we're not necessarily a part of like the Golden Sphere. We actually have like a separate brand going on for ourselves.
All right, yeah, because that's what I just see like Don Jose. He actually talk about it. So it's like okay. So I'd like to have anybody, I guess, from your from you and Mulata's brand
Mhm.
and the Golden Sphere. Y'all up whenever I have open topics, I would like to invite y'all so we could actually discuss and there's certain stuff that I could actually learn. I mean, from your experiences and everything like that. So therefore we could actually have a respectful exchange of ideas.
Exactly. And you already know where I stand with my brand is that I consider your people to be my very close allies. Because for
Thank
one,
you.
a lot of your folks, and when it comes to me, you, and my people, your people, we
Hmm.
don't look that different from one another. And our
Right.
ethnic lineage is pretty similar because actually even though we have Iberian in us, there was actually a number of Spanish influences even within the New Orleans area during that time. Even a
Right.
number of Afro Puerto Ricans had actually settled in the New Orleans area too. And
Hmm.
so it's just more so is that we came from just two different cultures, different regions of the Americas. But if we were to date each other's women, we would actually be able to connect very well.
Exactly.
It's just the only thing is that I would probably have to relearn a lot of the French that I lost. But I chose Spanish because I know it better and I can fluently read the language.
Right. So, a quick question I gotta ask, Georgia. Um,
Ask.
okay. So your parents, right? Do they speak French fluently, or they speak like I don't know. It's like
My mom,
I heard like within the Louisiana area, they say it's Cajun. Then Cajun is like from, I guess it was like this. My aunt went up and told me the story, and you being who you are, you could actually corroborate or see if a little bit mistaken about the story. My aunt, God rest her soul, right? Always told me when I was a little kid, you know, where I was at. She always told me that the Cajuns, right? They came from Canada down to the Louisiana. But most of the people that actually have that Cajun accent and stuff, they came from a part in France called Acadia. What's your take on that?
hello?
I'm here. Yeah, I
Oh,
just had
yeah,
to
there you are.
yeah, I had to cut off because there was like a lot of loud music right there. So I wasn't
Hmm.
really trying to get a copyright straight. You know how that goes.
The Cajun. So, like, captured French colonists who basically escaped from the Nova Scotia region and traveled a long way down to the deep south. They were also predominantly like a Roman Catholic too, which is even why like a lot of family members of mine are still like a part of the Roman Catholic faith too. Because like the South is much more largely a Protestant region though. But I'm like, well, actually in some parts, actually in Louisiana though, the Catholic Church
And
still,
go and Gulfport as well
yes,
have
and even in
Catholic
Gulf,
and have Catholic influence because my brother he's Catholic.
yeah. Some of my folks can be like irreligious or Catholic or even Protestant.
Hmm.
Like my auntie, though, she still is very devoted and I mean, should I say, devoted to her Catholic faith still. So hey, and what is
Right.
also the predominant religion in the Dominican Republic? It is Catholicism. So there you go.
Well,
That's why I would love to date one of your women and marry, because I think we would connect very well.
I mean, hey, this is my thing. Certain people could be against or whatever, but me personally, if a person treats another person good, I don't see why not a person can marry. It's just certain people that have ignorant views.
I agree. It's just whatever happens naturally and organically, then it should be something you guys should pursue regardless of what your backgrounds may be. But I guess if I really want to look at it through a realistic lens, most people have a proclivity for their own. I will even admit that I would love a woman like myself because we have shared lived experiences and we can 100% understand each other. That's why I love your
Right.
people. So many similarities actually like between us. I see you as somebody close to me.
Right.
But but then the thing is that it's not all within my control because more importantly it's all within God's control to the fullest extent. So let's just say if he were
Exactly.
to put like another white woman into my life and he says that, hey, this is going to be like your spouse who you're going to have like the most fruitful marriage with, then I'm going to have to be
Um.
obedience to the Lord.
Hmm.
But I still do pray that somebody basically of my own comes around. But if that doesn't necessarily happen and he maybe pairs me up with even a Persian woman, then yeah, let's do it then.
Hmm.
And then, okay, if that happens, so, well, okay, that's just more mixed race babies into the world. And hell, that baby will even be more mixed than me and his mama.
Right. Right.
So that will just make things easier then.
Yep.
That's why all that racial purity bullshit, man, and the whole racial, like, nationalist movements don't make any sense. They're very impractical and very unrealistic. I mean, no offense to the the pro-black who kind of came onto the stream, because we really want to keep it real here. The U.S. is becoming more and more diverse by the day. More and more
Right.
people day by day. So interracial intermingling is just something that's bound to happen. And perhaps the Lord is having something like this happen for a specific reason. It's to serve a purpose. And the more we actually try to rebel against what he is now trying to do, the more it backfires.
You know what? I never looked at it at that point. But you know what? I think you're onto something.
Because my brother, racism is what my honest take on that. So he's just punishing people who are arguably racist by letting them know that people like me are actually going to be the ones who are going to be the new faces of America. My numbers are going up. I will have more protection laws, and now it's my turn to actually have a say in the game. Whites have had their say in the game. Blacks have had their say in the game. Everyone has had their say in the game because everyone else has their own power, their own clout, and their own influences and their own resources. Time for mine.
Hmm. Right.
That's what I'm. That's kind of like the angle that I'm actually looking at it from.
Yep.
So like even like like in Norris chat with like the people in that chat.
Hmm.
So they would say that I am an abomination, that I need to be killed,
Mm.
that I'm going to pollute their women.
Yeah.
But the stuff like
Yeah.
that backfires big time.
But you know what's funny? I've heard that all my life, and it's funny. Like, we're gonna pollute your women. Like, really? Okay. So let's just talk about pollution, right? You know, most of the people who actually are racist are the product of inbred happenings like 26 times over. So if I
Yes.
want to talk about being pure, yeah, that's pure. That's pure crap.
Yeah. But how about this, bro? It's just so a lot of these people, they also want to talk about colonialism, right? And how
Right.
we are conquerors. Well, me getting with their women, well, I'll be like, well, hey, it's just conquest, right? I thought you were smoking the conquest crack. So
Yes.
what I'm doing to your woman, it's conquest, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Or
oh, I see. Since it's me doing it, now that's a problem. Doesn't work that way. The human condition, brother, craves conquest. We yearn for
right,
conquest. Conquest is deeply embedded into the genome.
right. It depends on what type of conquest. Conquest of lands or conquest of cultures.
Or conquest of people. That's also how
Yeah.
I came into existence, if you really think about it.
Yeah.
It served a purpose.
Right.
It still served a valid purpose, and I wouldn't be here, and I would not have been here or gotten to where I am had it not been for conquest.
Mm-hmm.
People love my people, brother. Now, I'm not saying that my people should become supremacists or that I have a supremacist mindset, but people love my people. A lot of
Right.
us are making waves in like the modeling industry. So, like, you remember that guy, Jeremy Meeks, who was branded as Hot Fella?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, people found him attractive. Okay, he has like the kind of a caramel skin and blue eyes, that stuff. Well, hey, all that stuff stemmed from conquest.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord is doing something here, and all these crazy things happen to serve a purpose and to eventually mold the world into a better version of itself. So these crazy
Mm-hmm.
things need to happen in order for there to be true freedom, true peace, and true stability.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Welcome to the end times, brother.
Yeah.
That's why I
Yep.
always tell, even to like a lot of my Spanish friends and Spanish-speaking friends over here, and even a lot of the Mexicans here who don't even really speak English around here, I always tell them that, hey,
Mm-hmm.
creo que es Jesús es nuestro amparo y fortaleza para siempre.
Mm-hmm.
They understand that. That's what I always tell them.
Amen.
So, and they actually do believe it, and I'm like, okay, since many of them came from a Christian or Catholic background, they actually get it, which I was happy.
Yeah, I know. Here's my thing, like in my states and stuff. I hate to say it whatsoever, but I'm not voting in these elections. You know, I live in Pennsylvania, whatsoever the case may be. I don't know. With all the cheesy ads that I've been seeing, it hasn't been hitting me whatsoever. But that's just me though.
And I have zero interest in the current election cycles. Long story short, though, it's just people who are competing for each other's self-aggrandizement and their own personal gain. It's not going to really help me. It's not going to help you or people or anybody. So I don't see any kind of light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to that department.
Me neither.
I actually don't really care about the midterms at all. Maybe in the presidential election, sure, but the current cycles, dude, it's not going to make a difference, long story short. And although I am also conservative on some issues, as I am also liberal on some issues, like when it comes to people say, well, hey, vote Republican because they align more with Christian values. I can see that, but I don't always see that all the way. Because long story short, even the Republicans are just out for it for your money. They could care less about Jesus. So if they can care less about Jesus and they're just in it for my money, then what point is it in supporting them? These people could care less about Jesus. The Democrats, they make it known. They make it obvious as to where they stand on issues. But people in maybe conservative or Republican parties hide their issues.
Exactly.
But then at the same time, I'm not going to get on here and say, vote blue, vote blue, vote blue. I'm not going to even say that. Because long story short is that God is not going to care about any of this stuff. Jesus is not going to care about any of this stuff. And just because you may be a Democrat or a Republican saved, or that you care really about sound biblical doctrine or the word of Jesus in itself. And
Exactly.
final note, also like a final note that I will touch on that, bro, is that although I still like the South in a lot of ways, the South has a lot of issues. And it's not as quote-unquote Christian or quote-unquote conservative as you think. Sure, many of the people there may be conservative on issues, but you get to know a lot of these people in their personal lives. It tells a different story. And that you also know this, man, is that the you want to know what it's also dubbed as?
What is dubbed as?
The South is also dubbed as the gay porn belt, the meth belt, the divorce belt, the gang warfare belt, the poverty belt, the food stamp belt, the STD belt, the broken family belt, the teenage pregnancy belt. That's a lot of issues in itself. And even those Bible Belt states tend to actually be the worst. The South isn't really all that, to be quite honest. But neither is the West Coast or anywhere. I'm just now starting to learn how very flawed the human condition is. And although there's a lot of good when it comes to the South, it's definitely not exempt from some serious issues that it's facing.
Yeah. It's right to the point that you see certain people, they want to say this, they want to say that. Okay. When my parents actually was living in this country, the divide between Republicans and Democrat wasn't that bad. A Democrat did his thing, a Republican did his thing. Equally, both was respected. Now, we have certain people that they don't want to sit down, they don't want to make laws, they don't want to do anything. All they want to do is fight, bicker, and fight, bicker. So, is this really politics? Or just grown people acting like children and they're just trying to make it professional? That's where I'm confused at. In the political spectrum, if I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I like, for the people around here, especially like the people working on like my house, or like they're doing labor, hey, I'll tell them that, hey, straight up though, that hey, that the groups here are actually against Jesus, and they may not say it, but they say it in their actions.
Interesting. Please elaborate. I mean, because I know that certain people, and I've seen certain movements that are against Jesus, but I just stay shut and I just watch how what people's actions are. Please elaborate.
When you have like all the parties that are going around just to money grab, just for their own self gain, and just to gain more political brownie points and clout all for themselves, it really tells you where their heart truly is at. It's not in the people, it's not in God, it's not in all this other stuff that they like to preach up there on the pulpit. It's more all for themselves so that they could actually get the power.
Yeah.
They will ask you for some more and more money just to satisfy their greed, which is, a deadly sin. So where's God in the picture? Because it didn't really seem like that they were actually preaching what they were, out and about making themselves out to be. Their actions said a lot different than like their words when it came to the whole preaching or the whole message of God.
Yeah. And to me, it's like, I don't know.
Most of them even make like a bunch of campaigns, but hardly any of them keep their promises. So, and they end up compromising with parties, bro, that are just diametrically opposed to one another. Thing is that there's no compromising with the devil. You don't do any of that stuff, though, if your actions and your thoughts are going to be based around dwelling within Jesus. You don't compromise with the devil. You don't compromise, and even uses people too to his advantage.
Yeah.
So regardless of what like other parties in here say, you don't make compromises with them if you can see that they're wicked. You don't do any of that stuff, but they will do it anyway, though, just for the sake of more money and more influence and more clout.
Right.
There's hardly any party that's based around Jesus anyway. And I've realized that, and I just said, screw it then.
Yeah, I mean, like, for example, I have a friend that, she's a pastor and her husband are pastors. So, they're actually doing the Lord's work and whatsoever the case may be. But when certain people start talking that political aspect, that I'm like, okay, why? It's like, okay.
Exactly. Like the whole like non-binary controversy and everything that you know of.
I mean, I guess it hasn't hit me yet because it's like I work in my own place of employment. I just I haven't really came across that because certain people just do what they do. But as far as how should I say, as others and their beliefs and everything like that, I've seen people that I've talked to on the regular and they work in professional settings. To them, this is even confusing. You could is the work culture is that in certain cities, if you don't use the right pronouns, you could actually get fired. So they'll have to go and it's like in some jobs they expect you to automatically know the pronouns. if you don't know the pronouns, you get fired. So it's like a weird re-education of some sorts. Like
Yes,
if we was in communist China.
exactly. Stuff like that is actually going a little bit too much against my values. There's no offense to people who may want to identify as that, because again, I'm all for somebody else's free will. But
Okay.
I'm not going to get up here and say that I'm going to be all for that. I'm not. No.
If
Oh no.
anything,
You know, it's something that even the
hello? I think you're going out.
oh, how am I now?
Are you good now? Yeah. 'Cause sometimes it's
Sorry,
like a little cut or something or stuff like that.
sorry, I was speaking away from my mic, but am I better now?
Yeah.
But yeah, what I was saying is that even the transgender community is even against that stuff too, because they see it as a slap in the face to their community because of how they talk about how they undergo a lot of brutal hormonal regimens to get them to where they are today, whereas they're just looking at the whole non-binary trend of just coming in and out of being a man or a woman when being
Yeah. All right. I think it happened again. I'm not sure.
all right. Yeah, it seems like it happens every time I plug in my charger, but I'm at 95%, so I'm good.
Right.
There you go, much better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, you know, just 1 second. Yeah. So, you know, it just, I mean, I'm like, I don't, it's like that movement. I've had friends who were in that movement. They passed away. I'll say God will be the judge of their lifestyles or whatever the case may be. But in certain aspects, it just it's just too much. I'm like, okay. And then I had the other day somebody say, "Hey, you're a cis." I'm like, okay, cis what?
Cis male.
Yo, I'm like, I'm like, okay, cis male. Me and my friends was just actually talking about that, and it's like, okay, cis what? All right, and they're saying you're a cisgender. Okay, so where does I'm like, okay. First of all, I guess we're supposed to have our flag, which is white and black, right? Which is very interesting. I was like, so they just assigned us a flag, which is funny.
Sounds like everything's tumbling down.
Nah, that's just me walking.
But if you're in an apartment, right, or a house,
House.
you own it?
Well, no, I don't, but that's how should I say? Well, I'm in the house. That's all I'm going to say.
Cool.
Yeah. How about you? You're in an apartment, or your house is being built also?
A pool is getting built in the backyard, but it's a house.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's just that's what the goal is, to be a good homeowner, at least to have several properties. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it looks like I'm gonna wrap this up. I might just have a special stream with the same name tomorrow, so
Go for it.
Yeah. So it was nice talking to you, Georgia.
Likewise. You have a good night.
Yeah. You too.